All right. I'm sorry I can't be here today for you guys, but the good news is that the lessons that you are covering while I'm gone are pretty simple. Not only very simple, but they are lessons that we covered in 7th grade, and Mr. Dura should have covered also last year as well. So you should be pretty familiar with these concepts. As a matter of fact, this first lesson we actually covered a little tiny bit in 6th grade as well. You would have seen it on a much simpler scale. So lesson 11A should be like super duper simple for you guys. And then lesson B is simple as well, but we'll have to go over that. I'll still teach it though. It's not as simple as 11A. So anyway, so today we are going to do 11A, and this should be, what day is this? Wednesday. No, Tuesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday. So you should be watching this video either Tuesday night in preparation for Wednesday or Wednesday during class, and then working on exercise 11A during class. Reminder that your take-home tests are due Friday by 11 o'clock. You need to turn those into the sub. Make sure she puts it in the manila envelope that I'm going to give her, and she's going to seal that and put it somewhere, and my husband's going to pick that up later, and I'll be grading those over Christmas break. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Make sure you get those turned in now, okay? If you left it at home or lost it or something, you will have an extra copy in your email. You need to get it to me. I guess if worse comes to worse, if you somehow can't turn it in by the 11 o'clock deadline, then you may have to, like if you forget it, leave it at home or something like that, you're going to need to somehow scan it or scan it using a scanner. You can use the scanner in the technology lab. Of course, if you're able to access that, then you probably should be able to just turn it in. I would prefer you turn the paper copy. So if you know you left it at home or whatever reason, you will need to somehow get that to me by Friday. So your parents have a scanner. No pictures on phones, those are not good enough. You would need to use an actual scanner to scan it in and get it to me. No later than, say, midnight on Friday, if you do need that extra time. So, anyway, just wanted to let y'all know that. My husband's going to pick up the test, and once I get them home, I will go ahead and confirm that I have a test from each person. And I will then, if I did not receive a test from somebody, I will be sending you an email and let you know I did not receive your test, and you will have to respond where it is. So anyway, that's kind of what's going to happen. Let me know if there's any problems. If you have any problems, just send me an email. If you're planning on turning it in later, like at midnight or something, let me know. That way I'm not worried. Lesson 11A is evaluating algebraic fractions. Whenever you see the word evaluate, usually it means to plug some stuff in and simplify. Usually that's what it means. And that's basically what we're doing in this lesson. It's super simple. Like, it really does not get much simpler than this. See, it says x equals 3, y equals -2, z equals 4. Then it says evaluate. You have an A and a B. Y over z squared, and our b is going to be 2x minus z over y. Okay, so again, the word evaluate just means you're going to plug in numbers for y and z, and then x, z, and y, and simplify. Very, very, very simple. Not difficult at all. Let's see. In this first expression, we don't have an x, so guess what? We're not going to use this x. We don't need to use that for the first one. That's actually going to go for the second one. But we will use the y. This equals, I'll just write it this way, negative 2 on top, and on the bottom, z is 4, so it's 4 squared equals negative 2 over 16, and you do need to reduce that, negative 1/8, and that is it. That is it. I remember when I gave y'all, I think it was a quiz on this. I remember it was on landscape form. There were some much more complicated expressions than this. I remember it was like 6 problems or something. I still remember that. It was back in, I guess, the 7th grade. Had to have been. I don't know if y'all remember that one, but I do. And that's with you guys. So if you could do that, you could definitely do this. So it's 2 times, remember there's times between a number and a letter. We just don't write it. X is 3 minus z is 4 over y, which is negative 2. I'm going to simplify the top first before we deal with any division. See, 6 minus 4 is 2, which is just going to equal negative 1. And that is it. That's how you do that. Very simple, huh? So that is lesson 11A. Believe it or not, that is like probably one of the shortest lessons in the whole book. Shortest, easiest. You're going to work on exercise 11A tonight for homework. And you're going to do some of 11B. I'm going to go ahead and teach some of 11B right now. 11B is kind of long, so I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of that out of the way. So let me go ahead and start 11B on the next page. Now, simplifying algebraic fractions. A big part of simplifying algebraic fractions is you want to try to cancel things out. You want to try to make stuff go away because it really makes it simpler. The whole idea of an algebraic fraction is kind of scary to begin with, because you're combining algebra with fractions, and I know none of you like fractions, and a lot of you are still kind of intimidated by algebra, but it still kind of just sounds intimidating. Algebraic fractions, okay. The cool thing is to try to cancel stuff, but you have to cancel in the right way. A lot of students try to cancel things and they make mistakes because you can't do that. The big no-no really for algebraic fractions is when you have something like x plus 2 over 6. Students want to do something like they want to cancel, oh, that's 1/3. They want to do that. Don't do that. You can't do that. And the reason why is because this plus sign right here, anytime you have a plus or a minus, it really just kind of throws a wrench in things. It makes things just not doable, really. So whenever you see a plus or a minus sign, you need to be careful because there's a good chance that you could make a mistake. So just tread very carefully. What you want to see is multiplication. If you have nothing but multiplication, it makes things really easy to cancel. And that's in example 2 on page 218. example 2, we have all multiplication. That makes things really nice. Well, we have division too, but we don't have any addition and subtraction. That's good. If you have addition and subtraction, it really makes things difficult, as you'll see later on in the chapter. But since we have all multiplication here, there's multiplication there, 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 and there. We have an exponent too, which is also a form of multiplication, so it's really a times a. So we're pretty good. We're pretty safe to cancel stuff. And remember, you can only cancel straight up and down. Don't ever try to cancel like across. You can't do that. And you have to cancel the same thing. So let's see. Let's look at A. Well, we can cancel this A and that A because they're exactly the same thing, and one is on the top and one is on the bottom. You can do that. If you had like, if both the A's were on top, then you couldn't cancel. So you get like A over B or something. You can't cancel across like that. That's a big no-no. Don't do that. You can only cancel straight up and down. Oops. And the cool thing is now stuff has gone away. It makes things a lot simpler for us. We're left with D over 2. And if you're lucky, then you'll be done. In this case, we are done. I forgot to write that it said simplified. We actually don't have to go any further with this D over 2. That's as far as we can go. There's nothing else we can do. But a lot of times you'll find when you do cancel, you still can go further. So always ask yourself, can I go further? Can I do more? In this case, you cannot. Let's look at this next one. If it makes you feel better to write the A times B over A times C, you can do that. These A's cancel out, and unfortunately, this A's got to stay there because he does not have a buddy at the bottom to cancel out with, so he's got to stay there. So we're left with A, B on the top, and C on the bottom. Ask yourself, can I cancel any more? Is there anything I can reduce? Well, those are all letters, and they're all different, so there's really nothing else we can do, so we're done. That is it. That's all you can do there. And see, that's the cool thing about canceling stuff. It makes stuff go away. And as we get into the more complicated algebraic fractions, you're really going to like the whole canceling thing. I remember in, I think it was the 6th grade, when I first taught y'all how to cross cancel, some of y'all were like, when will I ever need to do this? Why do I need to know cross canceling? Can't I just do the multiply straight across? I remember we were multiplying fractions, and I taught you how to cross cancel before you multiply. Saves you a lot of extra work. And I told you, yes, you can multiply fractions without cross canceling. You'll just reduce at the end. But when you get to algebraic fractions, you want to cross cancel. And I think you found that out in the 7th grade when I taught this to you, and probably also in the 8th grade when Dura taught it to you. You probably found that out as well. So cross canceling is a really cool thing, and I hope all of y'all are comfortable with that by now. Since you've had 6th, 7th, and 8th grade to get comfortable with it. Matter of fact, I hope that all of you love it as much as I do. I love cross canceling. Stuff just goes away, it goes poof. So now some of you newbies that haven't been around as long, you may not be as comfortable with it. So I apologize in advance if it seems like a bit much or if it seems overwhelming for you. Just hang in there, you'll get it eventually. So we're on example 3. It's a little more complicated. Still not too bad, but oh, they actually have an X now. Okay, let's see. We're going to look at A first. Well, you could, in this case, I mean, you could write out A times A times A times A. You can do that, but that gets tedious after a while. I usually, at this point, teach the students to cancel the exponents. So what you're going to do is you have 4 A's here and 2 A's here. Just kind of imagine. So at the bottom you have A times A, And at the top you have A times A times A times A. So 2 of these are going to cancel with 2 of those. So essentially, this whole A goes away. It's going to be gone. There's just going to be left with 1. Or those two A's will be gone, canceled, and you'll only have 2 A's left on the top. So you're just going to cancel the exponents. And really, essentially, what we're doing is we're subtracting the exponents. So that equals. And now that we've done some canceling, sometimes it gets a little messy, so you want to kind of just rewrite the fraction just to see what's going on. So it's 3a squared over negative 1. There's not much more we can do with that. If you recall, anything over 1, you don't leave things over 1. It becomes, first, let me backtrack a little bit. This negative can go out to the front. So that equals negative 3a squared over 1. That negative, remember I taught you back in like the 6th grade or something, when you have a fraction, the negative can go on the top, or it can go on the bottom, or it can go out to the side. So it can go in one of 3 places. Only one. Pick one. Totally does not matter. You can stick it on any of those 3 places and you're good. So a good place to put it is just to stick it out to the side and forget about it. Equals, and so it's just negative 3a squared. We don't ever leave anything over 1. Just like 5 over 1 is the same as 5. You don't need to leave anything over 1. That's not considered fully simplified. Okay, so that is as far as we can go now with that one. So let's go ahead and do the next one, B. Look at that one. This one's a little weirder because you have to remember that this 2, see, because of these parentheses right here, that means that this 2 goes on both of those. You have to remember that. That's why those parentheses are there. If you noticed over here with this problem, they had this 4 and there were no parentheses. That meant the 4 was only on the A. But because you have these parentheses, that means that that 2 is on the 3 and the x. That's why the parentheses are there. So let's go ahead and do that first. This equals 3 squared x squared over x, might as well write x1, equals 9x squared over x1. Now we're going to cancel out the exponents. Subtract the exponents. 2 minus 1 is 1. This becomes a 1 and this one just goes away. That whole thing goes away. Actually, essentially becomes 1 itself. It's just 1 at the bottom. We usually just don't write that because it gets to be too messy. So it winds up equaling 9x to the first power over 1. Again, there's no reason to write that 1, which just equals 9x, and that is it. My border longer. And that is it for that example. So it's pretty simple. So you're going to do exercise 11B1 and 11A. Let's see how much further I want to go with you guys. The lesson gets progressively more difficult. I'm going to stop there right now for this video just to make the video not so long. So anyway, I want you to do exercise 11A and 11B.1. Go ahead and work on that. And I didn't get to example 4, but I'll make another video with that, okay? Alright, I will see you in the next video. I'll probably have a part 1 and part 2 for today, Wednesday. So make sure you click on the next video and open that up.